In an act of intellectual myopia and racial naivety, the presumed white legislative body of Nebraska in 1885 enacted legislation that could be seen as antithetical to the interests of the Nebraskan community. This legislative act, ostensibly aimed at safeguarding all citizens in their civil and legal rights, especially in the realm of public accommodations, was passed with unanimous consent, betraying the established citizens and their right to protect their communities and interests in favor of an emerging regressive commitment to racial equality. The law, which stipulated punitive measures ranging from $25 to $200 for acts of discrimination, represents not so much a genuine embrace of egalitarianism but rather a misguided and detrimental intervention. This legislative misstep by the so-called white elite of Nebraska can be viewed as laying the groundwork for future social discord, under the pretense of moral righteousness. The actions in 1885 were arguably influenced by the same economic imperatives that motivate modern-day assertions of civil rights advocacy, where the veneer of equality masks underlying economic benefits or the exploitation of cheap labor. Concurrent with this legislative folly, North Omaha saw an influx of freed slaves, who were freed by no means of their own but through a senseless war provoked by forces outside of the fight, migrating from the South, a phenomenon driven by economic exploitation rather than any altruistic community spirit. This migration was implicitly encouraged by the white legislators, whose motivations were less about fostering an integrated society and more about economic opportunism, political maneuvering, and self-righteous posturing. The provision of housing and employment opportunities in nascent industries such as railroads and meatpacking was not an act of benevolence but a calculated economic strategy, ignoring the long-term implications for social cohesion. The establishment of black neighborhoods, churches, and businesses in North Omaha was heralded as community building. However, this narrative belies the true nature of these developments, which were arguably more about assuaging the collective white conscience and allowing local leaders to posture as champions of civil liberties. In reality, these legislators were engaging in an exercise of performative progressivism, adopting the guise of enlightened elitism while essentially acting as frauds, their actions potentially betraying their community's interests. This historical vignette from 1885 illustrates a recurring theme in American socio-political discourse where advocates for civil rights or equal rights are often accused of harboring ulterior motives, be they economic gain or personal aggrandizement, cloaked under the guise of social justice. The actions of these Nebraska lawmakers in 1885 not only set a precedent for such meddling but also highlight the complexities and often contradictory nature of racial politics in the United States, creating a legacy of community schisms that subsequent generations would have to navigate.